is so high. If you don't know how to fly, aim feelings here to make you fly. Sky is so high. If you don't know how to fly, aim feelings here to make you fly. Here we go.
We were talking about so these are the training and the recovery that we need to do from that. So that is crisis management for you in general. What are the security systems and all? We'll go into that later. I'll show you a video on that later. What are the security systems that we deal with, how we try to recover. But the basic thing is that you need very rigorous training for all the staff, whether it is an aircraft or whether it is a hotel. Without this training, you will not be able to deal with situations. You will panic. There will be you will be lost, and you will not be able to deal with it. So the training is important. It is important for us to update these trainings from learning from other people's experiences and our experiences. Two type of disasters that I spoke yesterday: man-made and natural. Which were the natural? Like floods, typhoons, earthquakes, natural calamities. Man-made, it, cybercrime, terrorism, bombs, all these, the new ones being now epidemics and pandemics. Okay, so that these are the things we have to deal with. These things do make an impact. Like today, if you see, most of the hotels are empty with COVID. There are no people traveling, though they advertise that we are COVID free, we have sanitized our rooms, we are this thing, but people are scared. Same way, why? Because of media also. Media plays a big role. Media can either be positive or negative effect on the industry. So when they portray, we are a very safe place, you please come and stay with us. Basically, people coming to stay need a safe place. More than anything else, they need a. Will you go on a holiday to a war affected country like Iraq and Iran? Will you go? Even if it's free, they tell you, okay, hotel stays free, please come. Will you go? No. So staff, the people need security first, and then the other things, the other facilities. Okay. So we studied all this yesterday, emergency management. We disaster preparedness, what need: clear communication, comprehensive training, knowledge of assets, technology, and healthcare and leadership. In disaster program, we have three: planning, management, recovery. So you plan ahead. You can never be 100% sure of whatever calamity comes, but you can plan that if it comes, this is what we will do. There will be certain pockets where probably we will not have thought about, weak points. From there, we may fail, but next time we will make sure we close those gaps also. So management, recovery, how we do the recovery of that, like how Taj was recovered and today Taj is working full scale again. So also whatever the staff did in the Taj, that is commendable. Also how they recovered is commendable. Okay, people still go there despite all. Today we'll come to the. I've given you some notes, right? Yeah. One more thing you'll write is risk management. Risk management. Please write the heading. There are 5 points in that. Number 1, identify the problem. What problem you're going to face. Number 2, analyze it, how you will go about it. How did it happen? What happened? It's happened now. Next, third point will be action. Fourth will be monitor. And fifth will be control. I told you, preparedness, we have to be prepared. If the hotel is near the water, we will prepare by keeping extra life jackets, boats, we know the weather, we know we are going to face storm, we are going to face water, high tide, low tides. So we have to monitor all that, the weather all the time. If we are in the mountains, also we have to different types of problems you'll face. If you're on land, different types of problems. So preparedness has to be there. This chapter has given us 4 kinds of models. We are going to learn from them. I'll tell you which are the models. 5 kinds of models. I need that this thing. Ithakati. Share. Those 2 tabs, na? Okay. No, you'll have to click on that picture first. No, I'll tell you what. Share screen. Yeah, is it 130? Okay. I'm going to hit you nicely. Yeah. No, entire screen kar. Click on that. Click. Yeah, now click on share. Share the screen. No, we don't. Where is our this thing? Where is our PPT? Just wait, please. We're just managing. You have customer care. So we are going to study 5 modules today, but they've given you 5 models. These people are research analysts researching in tourism of different kinds of problems that you may have. Disaster management in the hotel line. So they study that. Can you just, okay, you will move it, right? Okay, so findings. Cobra and this I did yesterday, right? Python and Cobra. Okay, I'll just do it from here any which way. Most important, safety and security are 2 most important things in overall tourist experience, which ensures preparedness and prevention from loss or danger to human life and properties. What we have to do is to make sure that we are prepared, that at least we lessen the impact on human beings and a danger on you for human beings and property. We cannot totally save it, but at least whatever we can lessen, we have to do it. In regards to being prepared for next disaster, risk management should be considered, and the following 4 elements should be controlled to evaluate the risk: hazard, exposure, location, vulnerability. So what is the hazard? What is the danger? How exposed you are? It could be a bomb, it could be water, it could be many other things. Location, where you are, how will you keep yourself safe? How will you try to save others? And vulnerability, where you could be more hurt or more you could create problems. This element may present different results when joined with other elements. It's better to study. So we have the first, write down the models. Disaster management models will be your heading. First one, you'll give me the mouse. First one will be Evans and Elphick. Can you see? Models. MODELS models. Number 1 here. Evans and Elphick. These are the 2 people. These are the 2 people who Evans and Elphick. They have proposed 2 crisis typologies, 2 types of crisis management when dealing with emergency: the Cobra and the Python. Cobra typology relates to sudden emergencies. Sudden emergencies like bombing, 7/11, 9/11, Taj. All these are these are Cobra type of emergencies which hit you as suddenly without expectation. Whereas the Python emergencies are repeated disasters like typhoons, storms, flooding. All these are repeated. Har saal hota hai, every year. So these are things. So it is necessary to enforce a multi-level preparedness plan in order to reduce the potential effects of this phenomenon. So what you need to do is enforce a multi-level emergency plan. This is your answer. What is Evans and Elphick? If they tell you what is the model tell you, it tells you about that there are two types of emergencies, Cobra and Python, one sudden, one repeated, and it is necessary to enforce multi-level emergency preparedness plan. This should be your answer. Okay. Next, number 2, Fink model. You got assistant. So we have Fink. Steven Fink is one of the research analysts. His name is Steven Fink. 1986, he wrote a paper, Emergency Management Should Start Before the Disaster Happens. And management means you have to be ready for that, and affects the hospitality industry. Crisis management could be divided into 4 stages. He gives us 4 stages. He gives us prodromal stage, acute stage, chronic stage, and resolution stage. You can write down, okay? Prodromal stage means pre-crisis, means before the crisis happened. Pre-crisis, I know. You've written this? Okay. Acute stage is the crisis, the main crisis stage. Chronic is the cleanup, coming back to normal. Resolution is post-crisis, when you analyze the situation, ki kya hua, what happened, where did we go wrong, how we need to be better equipped. So these are the 4 stages that he explains. Next,
What's chronic?
Chronic is cleanup. So if they ask you, ki explain to us the Fink model, you will explain that Steven Fink suggests this model in 4 stages. These are the 4 stages. Prodromal stage as pre-crisis stage means signal detection, your security systems, everything. Acute stage is when the crisis is happening and the result of the damage. It could be a bomb, it could be a fire, it could be gunshots, anything. That is your acute stage. Chronic stage, you will focus on what has happened and try to gather various organizations to clean up the mess. Fire department, police, ambulance, hospitals, doctors, nurses, people excavating if it's a bomb and your walls and things have fallen down, then excavators, insurance companies, yes, everything, because you'll have to pay insurance as well. Very good point. So we will need all these. Resolution stage is in the end, when you analyze what has gone wrong and you redo it. Okay. Next, number 3, we come to the Roberts model. He has 4 stages. Again, pre-event phase, emergency phase. They're basically all the same, with the names being given differently. So except one, so it's basically same, but the names are different. So you'll have to learn that way. Pre-event stage, yes. Emergency phase, intermediate phase, and long-term phase. Okay, it is the same thing. In case it's a bomb, we take, let's presume it's a bomb scare. Pre-event phase, what are the systems? There'll be alarms, and there will be screening. There will be dog walks. They have dogs in the airport to smell for ammunition and drugs both. So even they can smell and tell you if there is something in the back. Screening is there. So you have this pre-event stage. Emergency is again when it strikes you. Emergency strikes, bomb is burst, there's nothing, there's going to be fire, electrical systems will fail, people will get hurt, you will not have access to getting out, you will have, all these things will happen. Intermediate phase, again, you will have to gather your resources, you'll have to make sure how many people are hurt, look after them, gather your resources. If you can't get out food, water, first aid kits, whatever you can collect, blankets, pillows, make people comfortable, see the ways of getting. Most important, communication. If you're stuck in a place which is locked with people who are hurt and people who are this thing, how are you going to get out? You need communication to tell somebody, "Ki, we are stuck. We need you. We need your help." Even whether it's the fire department, the police department, you have to tell them. So how will you talk? Walkie-talkies are generally given to all hotel staff, so you have to communicate. If the phones are on, you can call. If the phones are not there, nowadays we have the era of mobile phone, we can still make calls. We didn't have those earlier, but now we have that. So if you don't have, you have to find out ways and means to getting out safely and taking whoever you can with you. Same goes for the airline, same goes for the hotel. In airline, it's in case of crash landing, water evacuation, you have to use every resource you have in the aircraft. Same every resource you have in the hotel. The only difference is that here you'll be in land, in a proper land. In the aircraft, you may be on a hill in the jungle or you may be in the water. That is the difference. Okay. Next, we finished Roberts. Next, we come to Faulkner, disaster management. Yeah, Faulkner, disaster management. Faulkner disaster management framework. Now he has 6 phases. He tells us his model to deal with emergency in 6 phases. Pre-event, prodromal, emergency, intermediate, long-term and resolution. The pre-event stage is quite enough to prevent and mitigate damages. To lessen the damages and to prevent it is the pre-event stage. Yeah, tell me, you all have just joined in. So tell me, what is the pre-event stage? What would you do to get ready? You are owner of a hotel and you may have a disaster. What is the things that you would do in the pre-event stage when you make the hotel? Correct?
Okay, if it's a tsunami,
It's a natural emergency or a man-made. If it's a tsunami, okay, if you're close to the water, your hotel is at the seaside, like Taj, the sea is there, then what will you do?
yes, to get out of there to the safe place, then we are going to call a fire brigade.
What will the sea? So think about that.
If it is near to land,
Cars, buses, yeah. That is, you are saying to get out. Yes, emergency exits. You will make sure that there are enough emergency exits to get out. Yeah. No, thanks. Emergency exits to get out. What else you will think of? Life jackets. Yes. Before, yeah. Other than that, you missed the most important point. Your staff. Training of your staff. If you're today I put you there in the hotel without training you and I tell you use the life jacket. Are you going to be able to use it? No. You know, because you don't know how to operate it. Which is why if I give you a fire extinguisher and I say go extinguish the fire, will you be able to do it? No. You need training how to use the fire extinguisher. So this is very important. So emergency lights, yes, because if the lighting fails, communication system, or you'll make sure that there is an alternative. Everything has to have a backup. If this light fails, generator. Communication system fails, maybe loudspeakers, something, hand speakers. Like in the aircraft, they have that megaphone, which you can is already there. Suppose the system fails, then how will you address 400 people? So they have a handheld megaphone. You can talk on the megaphone and give instructions. So everything in the aircraft or in the hotel will have a backup. Ye nahi chala to this not there, this. One backup is always there. Okay. So now you have this. The prodromal phase occurs when disaster avoidance is no longer possible. You cannot avoid a disaster. That is the time. The prodromal stage happens, and it is necessary to activate contingency plan. Contingency plan is an emergency plan. Start activating it. Start what you have been taught, and also use your common sense and utilize it. Like today, they've told you ki use the fire exit. to your right. So what you'll do? You'll go running there. But if it's blocked, are you going to just stop there? No, you're going to find an alternate. So there you have to use your head. Okay. The effort to save lives and protect properties during disaster occur in emergency phase. The primitive need for help and evacuating human losses, people who are dead, you have to evacuate them and take out that as well. Injured people will appear in intermediate phase. In the long-term phase, the efforts focus on preparedness, identifying the problem, improving the weakness. This is what vulnerability means, where you are weak, which loophole like Kasab entered the Taj and shot people. Somewhere security failed, right, to stop him. So where did they fail? How did he go in and gun people? How did he get through? All that weakness. Next time, that's what I'm saying. It was, if maybe the security was taken unawares. See, even for the human factor, it takes a little time to, we are not machines, we are humans, right? When something hits us, it takes us 2 minutes to recover, to think, abhi main kya karu? What should I do? It takes us 2 minutes, right? So that time is there. Between that time, I think before they hit Taj and before they went inside, it was already late. He just started gunning. So they could not even react. So this is where our weaknesses are. So afterwards, we improve our weakness and bridge the gaps to learn from the crisis. We learn from the crisis where we went wrong, what were the loopholes, where we should, be strong again. So this is where our weaknesses are. So afterwards, we improve our weakness and bridge the gaps to learn from the crisis. We learn from the crisis where we went wrong, what were the loopholes, where we should, be strong again. Finally, in the resolution phase, the hospitality industry learns the lesson and validates and improves the plan prepared for the next one. What will happen now? Taj must have reviewed their plans. They must have updated their system. Okay, next time there is a disaster, this is how we will face it, right? This is how, yeah. So this is your Faulkner has given you a model with 6 points. Since you cannot see it, I will tell you, write it. Faulkner model, number 1, pre-event. Into brackets, you can write steps to avoid or lessen the disaster. Got it? Steps to avoid or lessen the disaster. Second is prodromal. It's not clear, so I'm telling you. Prodromal. Prodormal. When disaster, into brackets, when disaster is no longer avoidable, you have to activate your emergency plan. Avoidable, you have to activate your emergency plan. Next comes emergency. Third point is emergency. Into brackets, efforts taken to save life and property. Taken to save life and property. Can you all hear me? Veena?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Intermediate. Next point. Intermediate number 4. Help in evacuating injured people and administer first aid. First aid. Help in evacuating injured people and administer first aid. Fifth point, long term. into brackets, preparedness and identifying weaknesses. Preparedness and identifying weaknesses. Last, resolution. Into brackets, learn lessons and improve plans and update. Learn lessons and improve plans and update them. Update them. Okay, so these are your 4 models. If they asked you this diagram, you will write, or you will tell them the points. All have 4 except this has 6. So what it means, they are almost all same. All you need to do is understand pre-event, prodromal, lessening the effects, and then learning about it in the next one. So put it in different words, is basically same. The hospitality industry is one of the most vulnerable industries to crisis. Crises have become more frequent and complex than before, affecting the hospitality industry and other related activities. So it is better to be prepared well to mitigate, means lessen and minimize the potential effect of the crisis, whether it's natural or man-made. So all we have to do is lessen the effects. There is no doubt that safety and security are 2 most important issues for guests, even with lower price, as mentioned by Rishi Shenewat. He's, I don't know, maybe from Asia only, who asserted that simple fact that destination low cost couldn't motivate tourists to visit hazardous places. Means even tomorrow, if you offer a destination, a location at the cheapest cost, if tomorrow Taj says, I will offer you a room which is 10,000 rupees, we'll give it to you at 1,000 rupees per night. But if that Taj is in a war area, nobody is going to go there, because they'll say, nahi chahiye, we need safety and security. So that is the most important thing for people. Good relations with media, very important. All the airlines like Indigo, Air India, Etihad, they have a tie-up with media. They want media to write positive reports about them. Media, if you write negative, it can change people's minds, right? So nobody will travel your airline, nobody will stay in your hotel. So they have to maintain a relationship with the media so that they write positive things and not. Even with the Taj happening, they wrote such a lot of positive things about them, and of course it was true. So how they looked after the people, how they, Ratan Tata went to each one's house of the staff, and whoever was hurt, injured, and did. So all these things make a difference, right? So media and management, government authority to avoid. It can either make you popular or it can make you this thing. Absolutely the opposite. Negative media will, nobody will ever enter there. Yeah. So organize good relations with media, transmit clear message and avoid ambiguity, means no place for doubts. Organizations should establish cross role between media and government authorities to avoid any unnecessary information and fear. So sometimes, like you get a lot of videos where the police come and tell you lots of things. So same thing, they and media together have to remove the fear from that place if there is a disaster. Preparedness and updated emergency plan with managers' awareness with the help of hospitality industry to provide necessary resources as well as effective training to avoid and minimize risk. Your managers who train you will make sure that you learn to minimize the risk. Tomorrow you will be managers, so you will be in that position. Safety surveillance, security systems are very important to save guest lives and hospitality properties. These factors can also be used as marketing tool of guests and meeting planners. So they can use this as marketing this thing strategy, but not necessary. The person will only see to safety. He will want to see location. He will want to see safety. He'll want to see, you know, the services provided, whatever facility is provided, he'll want to see everything. Okay, then he will want to read the reviews. Nowadays people read reviews, right? Finally, it is very important to understand the crisis emergency frameworks to mitigate effects and be well prepared for crisis to strike, and furthermore to minimize loss. So same thing, minimize loss when it strikes. Then we have the most important, bomb scare. Most bomb threats are made over the phone. Mostly, whether it's airline or no, it always comes over the phone. Now, whenever there is a phone like that, some people play pranks. Sometimes youngsters play pranks without knowing the effects of what is going to happen if you make that phone call. Now the laws are very strict. The minute you're caught, you'll be in jail. No questions asked, because it is creating a lot of problems for other people. Like when we had a bomb scare, we did have a bomb scare on one of my flights, and they called up. We are all set to take off at takeoff point, and we got this call saying there's a bomb on the aircraft. Full flight, 400 passengers. Flight was turned back. Yeah, just a minute. Yeah, so this aircraft had reached almost finished taxiing and reached takeoff point when we got a call. The captain got a call saying that there is a bomb on board. All these messages, even if it's fun and joke, it's not taken as a joke. It's taken as a reality. So aircraft was turned back, full flight, 400 passengers, all were asked to get off. Crew was asked to get off. Each and every panel of the aircraft was removed and checked. Right from the seats, sidewalls, toilets, everything, carpets, you name it. For that, it took 18 hours to turn that aircraft back. After 18 hours, after security, checking back and sealing everything, check, bolke, our duty time came in. We could no longer operate that flight because there is a duty time for the captain to operate the flight. He cannot operate the flight after certain hours because he feels sleepy and he cannot sleep. So neither the crew were exhausted. 18 hours we were at the airport. So they have to have a change of crew. Now they have to get another full set ready. So that full set was called at home and said, get ready for the flight. There's a bomb scare. So that crew got ready and came to the airport. Then the passengers were screened again and taken to the aircraft. Then the aircraft left. This took more than 24 hours. People lost their connections. People who were supposed to join their jobs lost their jobs. People had so many, somebody's father is in hospital, somebody's dead. So many problems we had. It must have been, they didn't find the bomb. So this, yes, they will make the investigation. Sometimes people used to do it from the public phone and run away. You don't know. So these things, but if you're caught, God forbid if you're caught, then there is jail, 5 years jail, no questions asked. Because you're putting 500 people in a problem. And God forbid if it's true, then it's okay. At least you have saved 500 lives. But if it's not true, you're putting 500 people, children, mothers, pregnant women, sick people to so much of problem. So it's not easy. People do it. So some are like, the overwhelming majority are hoaxes. Hoaxes means false. Mainly all the phone calls are false. Often the work of malicious pranksters, people who play pranks, often their work. Last time also I heard that somebody's girlfriend was going away. He wanted to spend one more day with him, so he called bomb scare. They caught that boy. He was a youngster, 21 years old. His girlfriend was going, so he just made this is not done. It's a joke for him. It's not, you want to spend, this is not, you're putting for you, because they are young, they don't understand the gravity of the situation. They don't know what effort goes. Food went bad. So catering had to be taken off, full set had to be thrown. 500 people ka catering back, security back, all the cleaners back. It's a huge job once the aircraft comes for. It is taken into the aircraft is taken into the hangar and stripped of, to see whether one small thing is connected somewhere. So it's a very serious thing often. So although Irish Republican terrorists also made hoax call, Irish people also made, Al Qaeda has made many calls. Do come and say we're speaking from Al Qaeda, we're speaking from whichever organization. They just mention their names and they give bomb threats. Whether or not it is true in a hotel or in an aircraft, we have to look into the matter. If it's in a hotel, you will have to remove all the guests that are in the hotel, strip the hotel of all. Yeah, people who want to do it can do it, have done it. People have found it in the catering, in the food trolley also. We have found years ago in the food. Not anymore, because a lot of that time there was not so much of screening as today it is there. So even the trolleys and everything are screened. But in olden days, we found one in the food cart. So there are people who want to do it, will do it anyhow. We have to just see our systems are clear and we are very alert to anything which is unusual. Something which is not supposed to be there, if it is there, that means it's a danger. So we have to be very alert. Any bomb threat is a crime, and thoda piche hatta. And no matter how ridiculous or unconvincing, should be reported to the police. It's already reported to the police. Telephone bomb threats are often frequently inaccurate with regard to where and when a bomb might explode. Mostly they will not tell you where they've placed it and when it will go. So they generally tell you either fake news, or they don't tell you the proper location because you will take it out. And staff receiving a bomb threat may not always be those who are trained and prepared for it. Like when there is a bomb scare, we are not prepared to handle bombs. There's a bomb squad who come and handle it. We have to call them. Only they are prepared to see and to cut that wire, which is so that it doesn't go off. But although they may be unable to access a threat's accuracy or origin, the impressions of the caller could be important. So when the call comes, staff who's taking the call has to be very calm, without getting agitated, without getting angry. Try to gain as much as information you can and keep the person holding on the phone so that they trace the call. Okay? 1, stay calm and listen. 2nd, obtain as much information as possible. Try to get the caller to be precise about the location. If he's giving you a location, ask him again. Tell us the location, exact. Keep him talking. Timing of the alleged bomb. When is the bomb going to go off? Try to establish whom they represent. Are they part of some organization? Why they have placed the bomb? If they are part of some organization, they're very happy to tell you that because they want publicity. So they will tell you the name. If possible, keep the caller talking. Keep talking to him, prolong his conversation. So it's easy to pick up. Yeah. Ensure that any recording facility is switched on. If you have any recording facility, ajubaju mein, whether it's your phone or whatever, just put it on for this thing. When the caller rings off, dial 1471 if that facility operates and you have automatic number display to see if you can get the number. If not, the cops will get, but otherwise, if you can find out from some place where you can get back a call, you'll know where they are calling from. Immediately tell the designated security coordinator, do not take it easy. You have to report it, even if it's a fake call. Even suppose some kid comes and says, I placed a bomb, and then he laughs, ha ha ha, I'm joking. Even then you have to report. Do not take it as a joke. Say somebody called, they said it's a joke, but they said this. This word, bomb, you're not supposed to utter it anywhere at the airport. please understand, not to utter. The minute you say that, you'll have 500 people come and catch you even before you say the word. You know, sometimes I've noticed youngsters try to be over smart, and like when they're asked to put their bags in the X-ray, they said, "Kya bomb hai kya isme?" You know, they try to joke about it. Security will say, "Don't even say the word." They'll just pick you up and take you away, even for questions asked. Don't even joke about it. It's a very, very serious matter. So remember that. So tell your designated security coordinator, it is their responsibility to decide the best course of action and who should notify the police. If you cannot get hold of anyone, and even if you think the call is hoax, inform the police directly. If you can't find anybody, immediately call up the police. So give them your impressions of the caller as well as exact account of what he said. Each and every word, if you have taped it, well and good. Otherwise, tell them exactly what he said. Even if he's joked, tell him he's joked, but he has said this. If you have not been able to record the call, make notes for the security staff or the police. Do not leave your post unless ordered to evacuate until the police or security. Evacuation order will be given by the security. Those things, you don't have the authority to do it, but you have to make sure that the chief of security knows immediately that you got a call like that. Fire. For this, bomb scares we've had plenty over the years. I have had plenty, but found none, except once, which I was not on flight, but they found in the catering van, as I told you many years ago. That was found. Also, one bomb went off at Tokyo Airport, Japan. It was in one of our bags, I think so. And the flight was delayed or something like that. It was supposed to go off on flight, but the flight was delayed, or what happened, I don't know. It went off at Tokyo Airport, and the Tokyo Airport people and the baggage holders and some aircrafts nearby had a damage. It went off. Luckily, unlucky, but still, luckily it went off at the airport, so the casualties was less. If it had gone off in air, we would have had about 400 casualties. Right? So that these things happen. This is part of your job. You have to take care of it. No, they I don't know. They must have taken. We don't know. In case of fire, another fire. Feel door to see if it's warm. Touch the door if it's warm. If there's fire on the other side, use the next exit. If warm, remain in room and call for help. Do not use that. See the windows. See if you can get out. If you can't jump out, call. Wake sweetmates means wake up other people also. Tell them also that there is, it's warm. That looks like a fire. Close windows and doors as you leave so that the fire does not come out. Pull the alarm. Alarm will be in every in the lobby outside the rooms. There is a glass window. I'll show it to you later. You have to break that glass window with the axe, so the fire alarm goes everywhere. Use stairs and never the elevators, never the lifts. Okay. Packed for survival. Always bring a flashlight, potentially battery operated, smoke detector. Check the batteries on each before you leave. We don't carry smoke detectors and all, but battery torch people carry when they travel. Flashlight could save your life if you have to quickly navigate in a dark hall or stuff. It can help you at least navigate little part of it, okay? And the smoke detector can alert you to fires while you're sleeping. People don't usually carry that, but hotel rooms already have a smoke detector. In most parts of the world, smoke detectors are mandatory in hotel rooms. It is there in the hotel room. But seriously, when was the last time you tested? No, they don't. They test the alarm systems, and smoke detectors have gone off when we have put something and tried to make something. Then they've gone off. If you don't bring a smoke detector with you, at least make sure the one in your room works. Okay. All if you do is take a matchbox and go near it like this, it will work. Get a room in the lower levels of the hotel. This is not always very possible. But still, if a fire starts, you want to get out of the building as to, because if it's a hotel room, you can choose your rooms, but not always they'll be available. This can be difficult if your room is on the upper floors of a high-rise hotel. When you make your reservations, ask for a room on the ground floor or close to a fire exit. Somebody is going to be, obviously all the rooms are not going to go, so it's not really practical, but you can ask and they might give it to you if it's yeah, and they might give it to you if they have it. Learn your escape routes when you arrive at the hotel. When you arrive at the hotel, on your floor always there will be uh, a board saying fire exit this way, fire this, go this way, go that way. There will always be stuck. So when you come, just note down where you have to get out. Head to the nearest exit if the hallway appears safe. Stay low. In case of smoke, always you have to stay low. When you see smoke, get down on the floor. The reason being the smoke rises up. If you stand up, you're going to get suffocated. So bend low so that the smoke doesn't bother you. Or wet towel on your wet towel on your nose. But if you don't have time to get, like the toilet is just there and you can get a wet towel, nothing like it, put a wet towel and just sleep on the floor. Amount of smoke, if it is dark and you cannot tell if the smoke is present, crawl in the hallway, you will know. It is important to understand that while air may be reasonably safe to breathe near the floor, one breath of toxic air may be lurking higher up, could kill you or incapacitate you. The toxic air in the smoke may incapacitate you, means make you unconscious or faint or something, or may kill you also. So cover your nose with wet towels is the best thing you could do. There can also be substantial temperature differences in a few vertical feet. You may not be able to tell if the air above you is poisonous or superheated until you have already breathed in. Take the stairs to the exit the building unless the stairway is full of smoke. So you really won't know how toxic the air is, but still lie low, go to the stairway unless the stairway is blocked by fire. That's the best way to get out. Use handrail. If you can't see, there will be no lights, obviously. Use handrail to guide you, to help keep your footing. If heavy smoke chokes the stairway, you have no choice but to get another exit. Don't try to rush through the smoke unless your return route is blocked. The smoke will probably be extremely toxic and you don't know what you will run into further down the stairs. So be calm, find out ways and means. When you panic, you don't think properly. So there is more stampede and there is more people shouting and screaming. You can't think. So try to be calm. Await rescuers on the wind side of the roof. So outside rescuers will be there. Wait for them. Try to signal firefighters to tell them that you are there here and you need help. Wait for help to come. Get medical attention promptly. Even if you feel fine once you escape, you could be injured or you may suffer complications from smoke inhalations or burn. So it could still give you complications. So see a medical doctor. After the adrenaline pumping experience you've been through, you may not even notice a potential life-threatening injury, because after this exciting thing that happens to you when in that thing, not exciting is not the right word, but it is experience of a lifetime, you may not even know what injury you've gone through or what you have inhaled. So try to see a doctor, try to get medical help and see. Last, how to use an extinguisher. You have different extinguishers. You have water extinguisher, which can be used on, say, cloth, curtains, sofa, furniture. Chemical on electric. Electric on your any electronic equipment. You can use this. Even in the aircraft, the pilots, if they have to use, we use a chemical one. It's a powder. It covers the whole place, the powder, and ends the fire. There forms into a foam. So it can be used. It's specially made to use on not wet chemical, the powder. It's specially made to use on cockpit fires, aircraft fires. It's used for all types of fires. Unlike the water is only used for cloth fires, this is used on all types of fires. No harm will come even if you use it on electricity. It will just seal the oxygen in that part and stop the fire in a minute. You have foam ones also, different ones. Procedure, we will see how to. You've already seen the procedure earlier. You've seen, right? You remember? No, he doesn't remember. Basically, some come with a big nozzle. This is called a nozzle. Some come with a short spout like this. In the aircraft, you will see this. Also, in the hotels, they'll probably have this or this kept in the lobbies of every hotel. There is a ring here. See if you can see this ring. Can you see this ring? There is a ring and a pin. This blue pin, you pull it out. So the lever, you press both the levers. Afterwards, first you take this nozzle and aim at the base of the fire, not on top of the fire. The base of the fire, press these two handles and it will spurt chemical or water, and this water remains water in any condition. Even if you keep it in the freezing cold, it will not become into ice, because it has a particular chemical inside it in which the water remains in any condition and remains water, and it is not to be used to drink. It's not drinkable, it's not potable, but it will remain even in the frozen. Even if you put it in the ice, it still remain water. So that is it. There is a high chance of you encountering an out of control fire at least once in your lifetime. We may come across even at home, even on this, so we have to learn how to deal with it. Being prepared to knowing how to use a fire extinguisher is important skill to be able to result. You have to know how to use this. We don't have this in our houses, so we use the other alternatives like water, blanket, whatever. But wherever this is, you should know how to operate a chemical fire extinguisher. Okay, a fire extinguisher. So naturally, it makes more sense. You learn to do this off and on, rather than trying to work out what to do in the event of a fire. Okay. So with that, this model comes to an end. If a human being is on fire, you have the nearest what you have in hand. Blanket, you have any thick rug, you have water. 2-3 things you can put whatever you can get your hand on. Right now, what is the nearest to you? Your action has to be fast. Basically, the best thing would be put a rug around that person. But if not, you have a bucket of water and you throw also, it's okay. So then you calm down and take to the hospital, treat it for burns, whatever the first degree, second degree was. If it's a small burn in the hand or something, when your mom is cooking and all, you can always apply. First thing, put it under water. Second thing, apply a lotion. You don't have lotion at home, apply toothpaste. You have to find ways. Your white Colgate toothpaste, you can use that. You have to find ways and means to, take actions. This is what we train you for, especially in the airline. 35,000 above the ground, 35,000 feet above the ground, you have no help. You cannot go out. You're in one place. What will you do? You collect what you have, make the most of it. Try to minimize everything. And the most biggest fear for them is fire. Fire is the biggest fear, because fire damage to control is very difficult. So if we smell even little bit of smoke or fire, we immediately go and all of us leave our jobs and go and see where is the smell coming from. Report to the captain, there is burning smell coming there. Because that is, once it increases, we can't do anything. We are up there. So we have to control, use our resources best. That's all we can do. Okay. Yesterday I gave you all questions. Add to that. That is your assignment. You will do the answers and hand over to Nargis ma'am. Veena, are you listening?
Yes, ma'am.
So I had given them yesterday. How many? I gave you 11 questions. All of this Okay, number 12. Which are the 5 models of disaster management? We have a manager in our midst. Which are the 5 models of disaster management? Number 13. What does Faulkner model teach us? Faulkner model teach us. No, not Khatam. 2 more modules. What does Faulkner model teach us? Next, what are the measures you take for bomb scare? Other you take for bomb scare. Number 15. What will you do when there is a fire in the hotel? So these are 15 questions. Find the answers and submit your Veena, you have to probably submit it online. Nargis ma'am will tell you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
2:30 only. 3:30. Okay, take a 5 minutes break and come back and I'll show you some videos on that. नहीं अपने को ये शेयर स्क्रीन ही है ना.
Ma'am, class is over.
Hello, no, class is not over. I'm giving you a 5 minutes break. Come back. Class will be over at 4. So these are some of our security systems used in the hotel. Most of the hotels don't have keys. These are the keys, plastic cards, which when the guests go, they for security reasons destroy it. A new code is put for every guest that comes. Okay. Telephone systems, all these systems, you can see cameras, outdoor cameras. You have security personnel, you have cameras here behind main reception. People are watching. You have internal also. In some keys you don't have to insert. You can just show it in front and it opens. Again, scan. This is the lift section. You will have a window here. Again, you will have some fire extinguisher in one of these. This is the hallway. This is all the rooms, both the sides, and you have a huge hallway like this. So these are the security systems. They can watch and at X-ray everywhere. They can see the corridors, the rooms. Again, they have these equipments. I don't know that I can show you the equipment. Okay, I'll show you. Then in the rooms, this is the sprinkler. It's on top, put in the room so that water comes automatically in case of a fire. Okay. Again, these are sprinklers. These are personnel cleaning. Every room, top. If you can see here, you'll have sprinkler as well as fire alarm. Both. The alarm will go off and water will sprinkle from here. CCTV cameras you all know about. In every room, every place, you have different kinds of CCTV. Frisking, you have security outside the hotels. You have frisking. They strip, and again, this is also body check. You get in malls and also you must be aware of it. Body check here as well. You have to walk through the there's another one as well. I'll show you. This is your fire training program. Let me see if this is the right one. These are the electrical rooms, this type of electrical rooms, which we have to keep clear of any anything that can catch a fire. All liquids, paints, your chemicals, your phenyl, everything, all this, everything has to be kept. That is basically are taking care of. Oil, yeah. smoking. There are a lot of people who smoke, and they put the cigarette in the dustbin, and which can catch fire. Yeah. Nowadays, most of the hotels are non-smoking, so but there are a lot of people who you'll see will just toss a cigarette and then leading to one of the fire hazards. In the kitchen, again, a lot of oil is there. This is the chimney. They have to keep it clean because all these are fire. I wanted to show you that this is the fire alarm system which will go all over the hotel. Okay. This is outside all the hotel rooms. You have to brake in case of fire and the alarm will go on. All the sprinklers will come on simultaneously. So this is a thing. And it will tell you to leave. You make your communications, call the people in the hotel, find out what is happening, and you have removed the fire extinguisher. Close the doors so that the fire does not go to other places. Smoke will rise, so you have to go bend down. Come down the stairs. Okay, so since you don't have sound, 1 minute, this is not. How do you stop this now? It's not stopping. Okay. What did I want to show you? Yeah. You can see how they use a fire extinguisher. You have to see the pressure gauge, whether it's full or not. It should be full. Yeah. You remove the pin. Just testing it. Hold the nozzle in a sweeping motion. Yeah. Left to right is a sweeping motion, and at the base of the fire. So there's no water, there's chemical in it. You'll get a white powder like this and it'll coat the entire, it'll take the oxygen off so your fire is extinguished. Okay? Huh? It's a chemical powder. This is different, the nozzle is different. It's the same operation. Yeah. You have to see in the direction of the wind, otherwise the fire will come on your face. Even in the airline, you need to use this. You have to use this also. They do a practical. When they teach you this training, security training, they will make you do a practical fire extinguisher. Yeah, you can stop it. I don't think they have water fire extinguishers. So, is that water? Let's see if it's a water. Yes, it's a water fire extinguisher. It's not helping with the fire, so yeah. Just put this. You can stop it. Fire drill. Oh, let me see if I can see. YouTube I need, huh? Right? Yeah. Oh shit, what am I writing? No, wait. Fire drill. Check if there is a fire drill. No. Wait. Fire drill. Just hold on. I want to go up. Go. Where is the animation? Yeah. No, that's animation one. Go up, please. Swiss Hotel. Let's try the Swiss Hotel. Sprinklers. Alarm and see, if you put a cigarette there, you'll get this smell. Your walkie-talkies. Communication with each other. In removing the fire extinguisher, get your resources at hand quickly. This is a drill, they've got this thing. It may not be a fire, somebody just put a cigarette there, it's a drill. But still, they have to check every room, every this thing, where it came from. Now, there's a light outside the door, means the fire was at this room. 318. The person is unconscious. These are the procedures. Remove him first from that place if it's safe. So this is mitigation, reducing the loss. Going there, removing the injured person. I'm sorry, this video is in a different language, but there's no. Are there any this thing subtitles? Settings? No. You can fast forward it if you want a little. Yeah. Yeah, go to the room. They're looking for the fire, where it came up from. This is the fire hose, okay? Long hose that, like the fire brigade has, no? Yeah. Fire hose, HOSE, hose. Fire suit also. Even in aircraft, if there's a fire, we have a suit which we have to wear. Smoke hood. Huh? It takes time to wear. You need to do it in 2 seconds, 2 minutes. You don't have time. You just basically in the aircraft they have just the hood. They don't have this body suit. So that the hood should go and you don't have time. Okay. Fire brigade has come. Yeah. Government authorities called immediately. Yes. Yes, they have to come. Fire brigade has to come. If it's the fire is out of our control to manage it, they have to come. Ambulance has to come. Police have to come. Everybody has to come. All the government agencies, the media will be there, the fire department, everybody will be there. Ambulance will be there. Emergency has been reported, so they have been asked to leave. They are not the guest. They are the other staff, housekeeping and all that. These are probably the guests. This is just a fire drill. It's a practice. There's a fire. How they basically try to time you. How little time will you get out everybody? Like in the aircraft, they said you have to vacate in 90. How much? 90 seconds. That is 1.5 minutes. You need evacuation of 400 passengers. So, how fast you do it? Bomb scare phone call किया twice. You can fast forward a little. Fast forward a little, yeah. No. I had a relatively safe 36 years. Yeah. This is the agencies which are ready. First aid. So this is how the fire, this was just a drill to show you how, in case of there's a fire in the hotel, how will you operate? Okay. Can we switch it? Now their recovery process. They're trying to see how much losses, how many people are hurt, whether the number of guests are all there, because they don't know if some are lying in the hotel hurt, injured. So they're trying to check with everybody is there. So this is recovery period. Okay. So you can stop the video and thank you. And go back to our module. Yeah. We don't have that. Just hold on, please. Class is not over. Hello? That is on still. That's on still. I can hear the sound. Yeah, cut it. अनिकेत जरा लाइट लगा ना. अनिक लाइट किधर है? जरा लाइट लगा ना प्लीज. Go to. No, go to the next model. Yeah. Yeah, give me that. This is just a 2-page module, so I'll just be reading it out to you. These are basically forms given to you. Front office forms, petty cash forms. There's nothing to teach in this. You have to just read out. Paid out expenses made by the hotel on behalf of the guest is the same letter charged to the guest room. Whatever the guest is charged with, like hotel stay, room service, restaurant service, what he is not paid outright, will all come close. Will all come here in this form. So this is what the forms look like. Amenities vouchers, whatever the amenities were given to the guest on arrival, time. Sometimes people request for flower arrangement, sometimes fruit, if he's a big shot, cake, fruit, so cookies, chocolate. So if anything is given, this is the thing. Housekeeping, room service, kitchen, whoever, from wherever it has come, it will be noted. Pre-opening checklist, pre-opening with every attention detail. Again, petty cash vouchers. This is just for you all to read. Front office desk, night manager, general manager must approve of all the requests. Sorry. Purchasing medicine for medical box, bouquet, payment of courier charges. Sometimes people want to send couriers. Sometimes they have business to attend to, so they want to send mails or whatever papers they want to. All that will be paid by the guest. If he doesn't pay outright, you make a mistake. Voucher, simple petty cash voucher, again signed by duty manager. That the duty manager is one who's in the reception managing everything of this. You have a reservation form given to you in. Resume examples of hotel and hospitality. This is your resume reservation form. When a person wants to book the hotel, this is all that he needs to fill. Type of details, when is he arriving, tomorrow, type of car, if he wants any car, departure details, how long he's going to stay, company name, if he's on company account, company address, who booked it, deposit, base rate of the rooms, taxes, etc. Reservation taken by guest services, all account departments. Copy will go to one person, every department. Okay, so this was a very short thing. All you need to do is just see what the forms look like. Tomorrow we'll be doing module 8 and 9 together and finishing hospitality. Okay, it's 4 o'clock. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
And end of the this module, make sure that you write all the answers and submit it. Please don't forget. Okay, that will be required for your what do you say, for at the end of that, for your diploma. You'll be all these assignments will be required. So do the question and answers as well. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye. Have a nice day, all of you. Nice evening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.